if you're willing to work 12, 14 hours, then I'll take my hat off to you and you can definitely join my team. But
do you think process and sticking to a plan is a
critical
key thing?
Yeah,
it's critical.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go away from that, I don't think you'll do well.
What do you think is one of the most powerful things that you've learned in the last 6 years of being at Hoxton? What's the thing that you think, right, you need to have this if you're going to be a success in this trainee wealth manager role? Having an actual process in the business that will take somebody through probably the toughest part of the job, which I believe is business development.
Absolutely.
From a quite a young age as well, because a lot of the trainee wealth managers are quite young.
Yeah, they are.
And they're sort of cutting their teeth and doing the toughest part of the job, but it does pay dividends.
If you can focus for 4 or 5 hours, there's no reason why you can't sit at your desk just focusing on who to speak to for 4 or 5 hours. Now, I'm not telling you that's all you have to do all day as the job, because you're going to be doing other stuff to learn the process, but being able to speak to people for 4 or 5 hours a day and knowing what you're saying, how to say it, that's a talent in itself, I think.
So Kane, thanks for joining me today on the Hoxton Life Podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Thank you very much. We had to sort of pick the cameras slightly back to get you in shot because you're such a big lad, straight from the gym.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Thank you very much for accommodating it.
Right, okay, so you've been working in the international space now for over 8 years?
8.5 years now, yeah.
Great stuff. So just tell us a little bit about how you got into the international space. What was your beginning and journey to where you are now at Hoxton?
Yeah, to start in Qatar with De Vere. So obviously quite a few of us that are at Hoxton started at De Vere. I think it was a good stepping stone. Tommy, who's one of the senior advisors at Hoxton, so he's one of my best mates and he got me the job initially. Started out as a BDM, or as a coordinator as they were called back in the day. Started there, worked for De Vere for 18 months, and then Chris mentioned he was looking to go set up on his own. So we moved to Abu Dhabi and then kind of set up Hoxton six and a bit years ago.
Fantastic. So you were one of the first with Chris at Hoxton?
Yeah, there's four of us at the start.
Yeah.
So me, Chris, 2 of the BDMs and Christine, so 5 of us, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
It's good, small little office.
Yeah. Right, so 6 years later, you're now business development manager, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just talk about that kind of transition then, because you said you started 8 years ago for De Vere to where we are today, which is 8 years later. You're now the BDM manager, you're looking after the business development management team.
Yeah.
Has a lot changed in that 8 years in the international space, and especially within this business developer or coordinator role?
Yeah, so I think a lot's changed. I mean, the way that you can kind of get meetings in. I mean, when I started back in Qatar, you had to go and source your own data from various different areas. There wasn't as much marketing as we get now, which is good. I think we're very well supported now on the marketing data. Alan and the team do really well getting them leads in and make them very specific to what we're looking for. Yeah, I think the whole industry's changed. We're doing a lot more services. We can provide a lot more detail to what we cover. And obviously, given the licenses and regulations that we've got in place that we can do business, definitely helps what we can kind of provide as well.
Fantastic. So you provided a hell of a lot more services to the
clients.
Yeah,
definitely. Much more than 6 years, 7 years ago.
Brilliant. So it makes it a bit more interesting as a coordinator, as a business development manager.
Yeah, it gives you a lot more to speak about, a lot more to learn, and a lot more kind of opportunity.
Yeah, fantastic. I can imagine 8 years ago, because I used to recruit in those types of roles into the Middle East, and it was a bit of a kind of revolving door, really. Someone would go out there.
Well, I didn't know what Qatar was when I moved there at all. I didn't know what it was. So I was like, yeah, I'll move there. And then when I was packing my bags, I was like, I don't know what it is. I just thought the opportunity was good.
Yeah. What made you go then?
I didn't really have anything in the UK to stay for. I was there for a year. And then had a bit of money behind me, so I was like, you know what, let's try something new. Yeah. And it's obviously paid off.
What was it like starting in Qatar? Is it very different to Dubai?
Weird. Yeah, no, really weird. First couple of weeks was really odd. Completely new surroundings, new environment, and obviously a completely new job. For the first 6 months I was awful. Like really, really bad. But yeah, I think you just kind of have to adapt and learn as to how the role goes. I mean, understanding what goes well and what doesn't, and then focusing on yourself and always self-improving. Nice.
Well, it's interesting you said in the first 6 months you were awful, but you ended up becoming Chris Ball's business development manager, and probably as a duo, one of the most successful out here.
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah, in the UAE. So from 6 months of not knowing what you're doing to being one of the most successful business development managers, what do you think changed? How do you feel that you...
Focus, I think.
Okay.
Focus on... Well, I've been sitting down with each other and kind of seeing what's going on, what's not. I mean, the people that I was scheduling meetings for wasn't what we typically do business with, or the criteria of people that we do business with. So I was just kind of sitting down, understanding what works, what industries work, gaining a lot more knowledge on the services we provide. So if someone had a certain kind of pension that we were looking for and we did well with that, then we'd focus more on that area and try and speak to more people in that industry, in that company, etc.
Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about then, because in a business development manager role, it has changed quite significantly from 8 years ago to where it is now. In fact, here at Hoxton Wealth, it's actually part of our Trainee Wealth Manager program. Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about, if someone was listening to this now and they're thinking, I wouldn't mind joining the Trainee Wealth Manager program, I wouldn't mind getting stuck into the entry level journey, if you like, to becoming an international financial planner. Let's set the scene a little bit for them. What should they expect from a role as a trainee wealth manager?
I think the word journey you mentioned is perfect, because it's not a quick fix. It's not something that happens overnight. I think you need to be completely invested in the process. It's going to be a 3 to 5 year journey for you to get to where you want to be. If an advisor is what you're looking to be. If you're not looking to be an advisor, I don't think the role is really going to be for you, because that's kind of the project that we're working on. We want to train people up to be a wealth manager. It's kind of in the name. And within that 3 to 5 years, you've got all the training that you're going to need to get yourself set up to where you want to be.
Yeah, lovely. So just again, give somebody an insight into what to expect from the role. What would be like their day-to-day duties? What do they do in that position that's going to kind of set them up as well to be a wealth manager in the future? Yeah,
I mean, daily and weekly are pretty similar, really. I mean, in the morning, you're just kind of getting set up for the day. But it's the first 6 months, I'd say you're just completely learning everything that we do, services, how to speak to people. If you've never kind of done this kind of role before, where you're speaking to people day in, day out, and you could be speaking to sort of 40, 50 people a day, it's just tonality training, how to handle yourself when people are throwing different things at you, uncomfortable situations I think you need to get used to. But yeah, I think it's just hard work and willingness to learn is the main thing.
Do you think process and sticking to a plan is a
critical
key thing?
Yeah,
it's critical.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go away from that, I don't think you'll do well.
And do you help people build those plans 100%,
as well? Yeah, it's all part of it. I think everyone that works at Hoxton within that trainee wealth manager role has that in them. So again, if someone's kind of fallen off track, then you've got other people around you to help you. But no, you definitely need structure. You definitely need some sort of process if you're going to do well at this job.
Yeah. You guys use LinkedIn a lot, which is amazing to see. Obviously, I come from a recruitment background, and LinkedIn's our playground. That's where we always use LinkedIn in recruitment. And to see financial planners, financial planning companies using LinkedIn as effectively as Hoxton Wealth are, it's just really refreshing to see. Because I did a poll once, and about 75% of financial planners don't generate any leads through LinkedIn. Yeah. And what you tend to see is financial planners out there sharing stuff on the front end, and it becomes a bit of an ego thing, like, oh, this is what I do and this is what I do, but no one's actually winning any business.
No, it's just a show-off competition.
It's a bit of a show-off, yeah. A bit like a Sam Oakes show-off thing, financial planner life, but it works. It does get inbound business for me, but for everybody, not especially in financial planning, doesn't seem to work for lots of people. So you use LinkedIn, though. You're not somebody who uses the front end, right? You're not out there pushing content out all the time.
No.
You're using the kind of strategic approach and targeting and directing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've used it to my advantage to find potential clients within industries and companies that we work with. So if someone's worked for a certain company in a certain area and we know we've added value to the previous client, then I'll try and expand my network through that person and speak to people that they connect with and other people connect with. Because I know that we've added value to them, so I want to try and see if it makes sense for someone else to have a discussion about.
Do you tend to niche down then? Is there a specific type of persona you're looking for?
Yeah, massively. So I mean, given the services that we offer, there's loads of different criteria that we look for, but I know a good profile when I see one, just based on previous clients, previous searches that we do. And then obviously add in the value from the knowledge that we've gained over the last few years.
Great stuff. And when you actually engage with these clients and you start speaking to them and you start dealing with them, tell us a little bit about more of the responsibilities of the business development managers in your team, these trainee wealth managers. What other responsibilities do they have? Do they just reach out, have a chat with somebody and pass it on to somebody else? Or is there other parts of the process that they're learning as well?
So they're learning. I mean, they're typically trying to schedule a detailed meeting with the advisor. So they're not just kind of having a chat with a random person on LinkedIn and then hoping for the best. They're tailoring it to what they think they can help them with. And then from there, we're scheduling a meeting with the advisor because we know we can help them with something based on previous clients. And then from there, once the advisor spoke to them, then the trainee wealth manager and the advisor then kind of work together on that until the client decides to become a a client at Hoxton.
Oh, fantastic. So it's not like I'm going to make 100 calls, just pass a load of leads over to somebody and see you later and that's it. They're getting involved in the diary booking.
Absolutely.
Sitting in some of those calls as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting feedback from the advisors.
Yeah, I mean, constant communication is what you need. I mean, if you're just kind of booking a meeting for an advisor and he leaves you with zero communication or contact and there's no relationship built or anything, it's just kind of distant. You definitely need to be involved in all the process.
Outside of organisation and sticking to a process, what do you think is one of the most powerful things that you've learned in the last 6 years of being at Hoxton? What's the thing that you think, right, you need to have this if you're going to be a success in this trainee wealth manager role?
Yeah, organisation, of course. You need to be on top of your meeting. Well, at the start of every week, you need to know who's in for that week. You need to confirm that they're in for that week. Making sure everything's organised. The advisor's got everything ready for the meeting. The notes are on there. The emails have been sent. The Teams link's been sent. Everything just needs to be organised.
Yeah, super organisation.
There's nothing worse than flustering around before a meeting.
Yeah,
because it gets you and the advisor in a bad headspace.
Great stuff. So it's well worth it, sort of making sure these people listening who are interested in this trainee wealth manager role this isn't just pick up the phone, make phone calls, generate leads, okay? That is a big part of it, and I think it's a skill set that needs to be taught, and I love the way that Hoxton teach that at the very, very beginning of the journey. A lot of companies focus on the financial qualifications and maybe administration to power planner route to then becoming an advisor. But having an actual process in the business that will take somebody through probably the toughest part of the job, which I believe is business development.
Absolutely.
From a quite a young age as well, because a lot of the trainee wealth managers are quite young.
Yeah, they are.
And they're sort of cutting their teeth and doing the toughest part of the job, but it does pay dividends, because when I speak to people like Ravi, that it's taken 5 years to go through that trainee wealth manager role, and he's on for 300,000 next year in respect of business written, it just proves that process works incredibly well, but it doesn't happen overnight, right?
No, exactly. It definitely builds character. Like I said, you're going to be on a journey of 3 to 5 years. If you try and skip it or rush it, then you're not going to become as good of an advisor as you could be.
Yeah.
And I don't think it works. I think when you rush it, you'll definitely at some point find yourself become unstuck. There could be an area that you've not touched on. There could be an area that you've not learned because you've skipped past it. Ravi's done it for 5 years. I used to work very close. I used to live with Ravi. And when it was COVID, we used to work 12, 14-hour days, calling everywhere. We just understood everything about the process and was willing to commit to doing the long hours. Yeah. So I know it works.
Do you think long hours is important in this job role?
It is and it isn't. I mean, again, if you're going into a job, I mean, I'm there for sort of 10, 12 hours a day anyway, just because I've got other tasks to be doing as well. But you can definitely get the most out of the day if you're doing 9, but 9 solid hours, not 9 dossing around.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be kind of structured in what you're doing. If you're willing to work 12, 14 hours, then I'll take my hat off to you and you can definitely join my team. But not everyone's going to do that. And I don't think you need to be doing that because you'll probably get burnt out.
Yeah.
But no, if you structure it correctly, you don't need to do 14-hour days.
Yeah. And we like to make sure that people experience what the job actually is before they even decide if they want to say move to Dubai and join us over here in the Dubai office, which has huge benefits. You're living in Dubai, opens you up to the international market. It's where a majority of our business actually is. But we do start people off, don't we, for 6 months in the UK?
Yeah, we have done that. Yeah, we've started them off in the UK. Hiring from the UK has worked. And some of the, I think 5 of them guys now are here.
Yeah.
And they've moved over, which is good, has been good. They enjoyed the process in the UK and then eventually wanted to come to Dubai, and now they're really enjoying Dubai. I think you can hire from the UK and you can also hire here. It just completely depends on the person that you're hiring. As long as they've got the key credentials to what you're looking for, then we can hire for anywhere.
Let's just talk about the mentorship then, that side of it, because you've had good mentorship, haven't you? And I assume you're passing this now on to the next generation.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
That are coming through, yeah. So what is, when it comes to that training, when it comes to that development, what's the type of level of mentorship that you are offering?
I'm not doing it because I'm being arrogant, but I know that my process has worked. Obviously mine and Chris's has worked very well, so I think if you follow what I'm telling you and it doesn't work, then it's down to me. I'll happily take the hit for you doing it wrong. But I know that 9 times out of 10 it won't go wrong and you will do well from following what I'm telling you. Whether that's knowledge, whether it's tonality on the phone, whether it's the process, whether it's the structure of your day, everything really.
Yeah.
I think it works.
So we talked about Ravi, we talked about the way he's moved now on to what we call the pathway. So you go from the trainee wealth manager role and then you become basically a financial planner, a trainee financial planner, and on you go on that journey, and it takes a few more years to get yourself really up and running and doing the job of a financial planner. And that's where he is now. We've got some other people in the business, though. They're at the beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of those people that are now at the beginning of the journey. Is there any standout people? Are they doing anything spectacular that you think, wow, that's really impressive?
They're all doing a really good job. But if you wanted to highlight someone in particular, I think we spoke about him before, Alex Japp.
Yeah.
So Ollie's little brother. So Ollie's been in the company for 3-4 years now, doing really, really well for himself. And his brother Alex was doing really well for a career in golf, but wanted to change. And yeah, he's been in the company less than 2 months, and he's top of the bookings and top of the calls and top of the effort. And I think he was working till about 10:30 last night.
Was he?
So yeah.
He's kind of obsessive, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very laser focused, which is good. He's determined, which is what you need. He's young, he's hungry, he's willing to learn. I think that's the main attributes. If you want to do well in this industry and the job, he's got all of them so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite interesting. I was talking to him about his golfing career, because I was thinking, like, how have you got this mindset? He was at a very young age. He was determined to be this golfer, and he was spending like 8 hours a day practicing.
I was the same.
Really?
Yeah, from the age of 12 to 18, that's all I did. Just played golf for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah, I got down to a good level. Didn't do anything, didn't go out, didn't do anything, just played golf. And then just kind of hit an age where I just didn't want to do it anymore, which I think he's kind of hit the same. Yeah. But I think in that 6 years, it was just laser focus, which is what he's done as well. And you can always take that into another. Yeah,
why golf, though? Because there's a couple of people in there. I didn't realise that you had a background in golf as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in there who are successful that love golf or played a lot of golf.
You got to concentrate for 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. So if you could do that, you can do a lot of things, I guess. I'm trying to think how to put it. I mean, if you can focus for 4 or 5 hours, there's no reason why you can't sit at your desk just focusing on who to speak to for 4 or 5 hours. Now, I'm not telling you that's all you have to do all day as the job, because you're going to be doing other stuff to learn the process. But being able to speak to people for 4 or 5 hours a day and knowing what you're saying, how to say it, that's a talent in itself, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, let's talk about earnings. Because people always want to know what they're going to earn, because especially if they're coming out to Dubai, it's not cheap, right?
Yeah.
I've realised that in the last 3 months. It's very expensive, especially when you fall into the trap of using Kareem every day for food and all this kind of stuff, and £6 coffees in certain places. But what about the earning potential? Are people earning good money in this trainee wealth manager role?
Some are, yeah. I mean, I don't want to kind of big up the role too much, because firstly, you can't control when you get paid in certain things because of how long it takes and things like that. But I think out of other companies in the industry, Hoxton do everything they can to get you paid quicker as a BDM or as a trainee wealth manager, because we understand that it is tricky, it can be long-winded, but obviously we want to keep you guys motivated and make sure you can earn and keep you in the job and for the longevity. Earning potential is, you are technically self-employed. The more you put in, the more you get. You obviously get a base salary, and then you get a percentage of the deals that you bring in on top. The more deals you do, the more money you get. It's really simple.
OTE? On target earnings? What do you think people are, what's a fair... Let's just give somebody an idea of what they could earn in the role.
In the first year, or...?
Yeah, well, let's say year 1 and year 2.
Year 1 and year 2. I mean, the base salary is, what, £24,000 a year? There's no reason why you couldn't top that up to 40, 50 in the first year.
Yeah. And
then from there, I'd like to think that you can do another 10, 15 on top of that every single year.
Fantastic. Because your earnings can go up. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Especially with some... If you're joining the TWM role, then everything is yours. Like, you have everything in front of you to do well. Yeah. You don't really have to do much. You just kind of have to put the work in. Willingness to learn, as I said. Go and learn the stuff that we do. Learn it well. Learn it inside out. Know how to say it and how to speak to people, and then it can only go well from there.
Fantastic. And what about qualifications? Because obviously becoming a trainee wealth manager, you want to do your qualifications alongside it for the time that you eventually perhaps want to become a financial planner. We're not forcing people to move into financial planning. If you're happy doing business development, you've made a career out of it yourself, right, as a team manager. Yeah. So what about qualifications? What qualifications run alongside that?
So at the moment, some of the guys are studying to be level 4 qualified, which is UK qualified. And some of the guys have already done that, and now they're moving on to do Series 65, which is to be US qualified as well. A lot of our business at the moment is focused on US assets, so being able to discuss UK and US assets as a cross-border basis is something that a lot of advisors in the region don't have, and that's why we want to be different and more qualified.
Fantastic. Yeah, I believe, Series 65, what a great qualification to
Really
get.
good.
Huge amount of
Not
opportunity.
an easy exam either, I've heard.
No. Huge amount of opportunity in America, especially with these individuals that are moving from America all around the world. And obviously being multi-licensed as a business, we're able to support those individuals. It could be their 401k pensions being rolled over into IRAs, which is a huge opportunity, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look at you with your knowledge.
Oh, look, it's all coming out. I think the key thing is people want to understand how much they can earn and how long it actually takes and what's the reality of the role. That's the key thing. I think a lot of people see something like a trainee wealth manager, but they don't understand what it is they actually have to do. And also, like historically, people hear horror stories of going abroad.
Well, if you want to hear a case study, I think you've had Joe on here, haven't you, Joe Cookney?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Joe, again, if I had 10 of Joe, I'd be very happy in my team.
Yeah.
So he joined in October last year, and so it's had just over a year now. He didn't do a deal for the first 3-4 months.
Yep.
I knew he had potential because he'd never done anything in sales before. He used to work in Costa.
Yeah.
But he had a finance degree, so he's willing to learn. But put the hard work in. He's like a sponge. He just absorbs information that you tell him, and if you guide him correctly, then he listens well. And now I think this year he's brought on 50 clients. So it can all just change if you do it correctly.
Yeah.
Don't worry if you've not done anything in the first few months.
Yeah.
Because it can all just come at once.
Fantastic. So just be patient.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a gun to someone's head, is there?
Just trust the process.
Yeah.
I know it's quite a common saying, but do trust it because it works.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Wise words. Kane, thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And I'm sure if anybody's got any more questions they can reach out
to me on LinkedIn. More than welcome.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kane.
Cheers, Sam.
Cheers, buddy.